Hi guys, welcome back to the Book Vandal Shop. We are ready for, I believe this is part 5. So I've lost count. I've filmed multiple videos today. So it is whatever part it says on the title. Okay, so we are ready for, we left off, we were doing flaps. We had done almost all of our flaps. We had done these small ones, and now we are ready to go into the middle of the book and add on these. So these were the ones we had set aside. They were the flap and pocket all in one. So I know my camera is doing that bouncy thing. It's my phone. Still waiting for my new camera to arrive. So I am going to use this paper. It is the blue paper with the shells across the bottom. That is what I'm going to use to cover the inside part here. And if we're careful, we can get it all out, get it all in one sheet of paper. So I've gone ahead and cut the white border off of my paper because I did not print borderless. And so I'm just going to line that up over here, and I want it to be, and I want it to have some edge showing, you know, over here. So I marked there, okay, and then if I come over here, see it's really close, and I put that mark right about there. I come over here, and I just have to trim a little bit off. So you should be able to get both of the insides of these out of one sheet of paper. Okay, all right. First thing I'm going to do though, I think, is I'm going to trim the height. So lining up, yeah. No, I'm going to go ahead and, I'm just going to go ahead and trim it in width because there's not going to be that much left over anyway. So let me trim that over here off camera so I don't have to clear a space for my paper trimmer. Okay. Now, let's work on this one. And what I'm going to do is line this up on the bottom. Just above the bottom edge. Okay, and I'm going to mark it just below my folded line. Okay, I'm going to cut it right there where I marked, and that is going to get glued right down there after I ink it. Why does that look a little bit crooked? It does, doesn't it? I wonder, this kind of looks kind of crooked. What is going on there? All right, let me see what's going on. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened. Just wasn't cut very square over on that end for some reason. So I kind of squared it up, but I do need to trim this so things don't look wonky, if that's a word. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that's a little better. All right, then this is what I just cut off of the top, and you can see where my sea fan there, or my coral or whatever that stuff is. I've got a little piece of that, so I'll just let it continue up and mark that. And if I just go ahead and move that down and off to the side, you should be able to sort of trace it a little bit smaller than the actual size. I'm just using it as a template. Okay. So the bigger line on the outside is where I traced it just as it was, and then I went inside and kind of moved my file folder around as a guide to trace it a little bit smaller, or a little bit inside the lines. I'm not going to cut the other one out on camera. We'll just do this one together. Okay, toss that. And that should fit. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. All right, and I will ink up those edges and glue that on. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did for the other one. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those pockets on. Now, I'm not worried about the outside yet. So because this is a pocket, remember I just want to glue down the side, across the bottom, and back up the side. And I'm being careful to watch where this folds. I don't want to get it over here in the crease where it folds. Okay, let's do the same thing for the other one. Down the side, across the bottom, back up this other side. Okay, keeping it out of the center crease. Okay, all right. So we're going to cover these with something else in a minute. We're going to do that out of some scrap stuff that we haven't actually made yet, but we're getting ready to. Okay, so let's set this off to the side just for a minute. And we're going to bring in, I know it's been a while, but when we set this aside with all our little flaps and said we'd come back to it, well, now it's time to come back to that. So this is that center tab folder that we cut the bottom off of and then folded into thirds. That's what we're going to work on now. So I want to work on the inside part first. And so for that inside, I used, and you can use whatever you want to use, but I used, well, both of these. These are the blue pages that have text in the background, and they have the stripe. Okay, and one has the little girl, and one has the title page for a book on it. Okay, so that's what I used. So first I'm going to get this one out. And let me go ahead and cut the white border off of this. Okay, I'm bringing it back over. Now, what I did was I wanted this to kind of continue over. Let me bring this one over so you can see. So here's the little girl page, and I put this edge all the way over, and then I cut it. And then I picked up where I left off until I got over here. Okay, so that way it kind of looks continuous or seamless. It is continuous because it is continuous. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. And if you want, you can even set the back part off out of your way. But I just want to focus on the width of this. Okay, there. And let me see. I don't really want to cut the whole height off yet because I'm wanting to use the rest of this text page. That's going to cover those center flaps that we said we would come back to. I'm going to use the text stuff for that. So I'm trying not to waste any more paper than I have to. So as you can see, hopefully on this horrid video quality, I marked just inside my fold, okay? And then just picking up where I left off, mark again over here. You'll see, you'll see. Hopefully I cut that right. I may have goobered that up, and I did. Okay. I may have to end up cutting some more of this blue text stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh, you know what? I know. I'm taking it out of the next page. It's okay. All right. Don't worry about what I just did or said or any of that. Okay. So there's the little girl page. See how I can put it back together again? Okay. One's going to be for this panel. And one is going to be for the center panel. So, and I will cut those to size. Cut them to fit. Okay. I'm just not going to do that right here on camera. I'm going to cut them to fit. I'll ink them and glue them on. All right. The next one. Okay. This one. Let me cut the white border off real quick, so you can see what I'm going to do. Okay, white border gone. This one is going to go over here on this panel, okay? So I've just cut it to size, cut it off. Okay. There we go. Now, this text piece, this is the one we need for our center flaps, okay? Don't worry, I didn't cut anything wrong a minute ago. We're good. Okay, so it's this piece. Hang on to that. Set that right off to the side. We're going to use it in a minute. This is going to go on this panel, okay? And I will trim it down, cut it to size, okay? And then I'm going to ink them and glue them on, and I will come right back to you. If you want to do something different on the inside, then do something different on the inside. But I just thought this was kind of fun. It had the stripe border, one on each side. I don't know, just give you a nice little, I don't know, nice little spread. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so those are glued on like that. Now, the next part is I took some scrap paper, and on the other one I used some C-fan paper, but I don't seem to have any of that right now. So I'm going to use some, this is just some scrap tan colored paper, and I'm only using it to cover the tab area. So I'm going to cut that to fit and cover the tab, okay? And then that goes on top. All right. Now, I'm going to do that off camera. Something I've been thinking about, okay? And just bear with me while we discuss this a little bit. All right. So when I open this up, it kind of wants to bulge open, okay? How to explain this? When you take two things and you fold them, and if I glue this edge right here, this edge, and I open it up, it's always going to want to bulge because it can no longer move. If you've worked with paper very long, you'll know what I'm trying to say here. So if I was to glue that, and then when I open it, it wants to pop open, it wants to bulge, okay? If I was to glue it straight down, now when I close it, I'm going to get a bulge after it's closed. See? Like that. Because there's no movement over here to allow my fold. So this one I did, I let it just bulge when it opens, you know, but I'm not happy with that. I still don't like it. So something I was kind of considering was the only part that I care about being a pocket is this middle one. What if I cut this off and glued it on this one, and cut this one off and glued it on that one, and then glued this one down just as a pocket? So it still looks like a file folder, but I'm not dealing with any bulging issues and folding issues. So what do you think? Think it's worth a shot? I mean, I know I'm kind of changing things up. It's not the way I did this one, but this is just something that's always bothered me. Let me turn it around upside down. Maybe you can see it bulging more that way. See how it isn't flat? Okay. So, and if I glued it, and I try to think, this one I glued to where it lays flat, but bulges when it opens. Or you could glue down the sides now, but then when I fold it, it's going to bulge afterwards. I don't know. You may not even know what I'm talking about. If you do, you do. If you don't, just ignore my ramblings and do it however you want. But I think that's something I'm going to try. I think I am. I'm going to do it right now. I am. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to... I'm just going to be brave. I'm just going to be brave. I did it. I did it. Okay. Just no going back now. So I already did it. Okay. I just need to trim those folds off. All right. I'm going to do that. I'm going to come right back. I'll let you see what it looks like. Okay. I did it. I think I like it better that way. I told myself when I did this, I wasn't going to change anything about the first one that I made. I was going to make it identical, but here I go, changing stuff. That's just me. Every time I make something, I don't know. Can't ever just be satisfied, I guess. I have to try to always improve on it. Oh, and you know what I did? I just glued that down without putting the tan colored paper back there. Ah! All right. Thankfully, my glue wasn't dry yet. Okay. That's going to go on like that. We're just going to roll with it. We're going to roll with it. Come on now. There we go. I don't even need to turn it over. I can just eyeball it from here. You can put it on 2 times speed if you want to. If I'm going too slow for you. I just threw a wrench in the works by changing things up a little bit. I have no idea what possessed me to just go off in left field here, but I think I kind of like it better. Okay. And I wouldn't steer you wrong, would I? Not on purpose. Okay. Try this again. Down the side. Across the bottom, back up the side. Okay. It's not perfect, but I didn't trim that very well. Okay. So, I have a pocket here, and when I glued these down, I went ahead and glued them on like pockets too. I left the top open just in case I ever want to put anything in there. But that just, it folds and lays down so much better than this one did. So I think really do like doing it that way better. Okay. Anyway, where are we at now? Oh, okay. Next, I'm putting some striped paper. I should have some left from before, and we do. Putting some striped paper on that side right there. And then I'm also going to put striped paper on the front. Okay, but before I do that, I want to put my tie on there. Okay, so if you're putting a tie on it, then that'll be what you'll want to do right now. And now if you're adding this to the front of your book and you're not putting any type of tie closure on there, then you're going to need a paper clip or something to keep that from, you know, flopping around. So that's what having the tie on here, that's kind of nice. So then it doesn't flap around. Okay. All right. So if you're doing yours like me, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to write tie on here for my tie closure. And so I'm going to put striped paper here. I'm going to glue my sari silk on, striped paper on the top. All right. So here's my sari silk ribbon I've had sitting off to the side for the last several parts. And, ooh, let's see. What do I want to do? Let me look at this. I want to make sure that where I glue my sari silk tie on, that I'm gluing it in the right spot to match this one. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? All right. So if I was to glue this on here, and in fact, I think I will go ahead and just glue that on now. So find where I like that at. Kind of want to center it. All right. I'm just going to kind of mark the corner down here so I can lift it off and then put it back where I liked it. All right. Now I want a pocket from the side. You might want a pocket from, well, I wouldn't do one on this side just for the reason we're going to put the spine thing on later. I'd do a pocket on this side or back here if you're going to do one. So I'm going to, let me just flip that like that. I'm going to glue across the top, down this side, and then over across the bottom. Oop. Okay. Flip it back around. Put it back into place. And that's where that's gonna go. Okay. And so that left this side open over here. I can use that as a pocket. All right, now I can better see where I want to put my other tie. So I kind of want it to line up with the one that's on the back side. So that should do it. Yeah, right in there. Okay. There we go. Now those line up just right. And then this stripey piece of paper I used. And now this was my leftover striped paper I had, and I cut it real carefully so that I was able to get both pieces out of it. So hopefully you were able to do the same. If not, you may have to print you another one. Or you might be just using totally different paper than I am too, and that's just fine. That is just fine. This is a fun little project to do with any paper, any theme. Really, I shouldn't say it's a little project. It is quite the project. It'll make a really nice memory keeper journal album thing. It'll make a really nice journal when we're done. So I wouldn't quite call it a little project. Okay, we're just going to glue that down. Okay. I was a little heavy on the glue there, and that's just because this is on the very, very front. I want to make sure it's going to stay, and I want to make sure it's going to hold down that ribbon. Okay, so there's that. And then if you want to go ahead and cut that picture out, that was on, we've already printed that out. That was on that piece there. And so I just cut that out, and then I layered some cheesecloth behind it. And so I'm not certain yet what I'm going to do with mine. I purchased some of this trim at Hobby Lobby. It's kind of neat looking. I haven't opened it up yet. It is, and it was a little pricey because it was not on sale, and I didn't really want to wait till it came on sale. Ribbon garland. It was in the aisle, pretty sure it was in the aisle that the wedding stuff is in. Opposite, one side had like the wedding stuff, and then the opposite side had wired ribbon and other ribbons like that, floral type ribbons, up by the floral department. So that's where it was at. Anyway, I thought it was kind of neat. It kind of reminds me of either like fishing nets, or kind of reminds me a little bit of, I don't know, like coral and sea anemone, and you know, I don't know. Anyway, I thought about using that to layer on this one instead of doing a cheesecloth. So we'll see. I'm not going to glue my picture down yet because I haven't decided yet what I'm going to use. I also purchased some burlap at Hobby Lobby, a spool of it, and I thought I could even use that to layer behind my pictures and stuff. Although that is a little heavy. I don't know. We'll see. But this kind of reminds me of like fishnet too. So, all right. I'm going to take a little bit of break, and then I will come back in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm back after a break. So this is how I chose to put the little card on the front. I ended up putting some burlap behind it. It's just what I decided to go with. I liked it better than that other trim that I had shown you. It just wasn't quite wide enough, and I don't know. I like this. I'm just gonna have to use it in a different project. Anyway, that's what I put on the front. So one more thing before we go, and let's go ahead and cover these. So what we're going to use now is that text paper that we cut off from the front. It was the last bit of that. Okay, so we're going to take that, and we'll have to use, to cover this and this, we'll do it like this way and this way. So you know what I'm saying? There's not enough to go side by side. So we'll do top and bottom pieces. So that's all I'm going to do now is mark this. Okay. And mark it for my width. And then I'll cut this, and then I'll mark the other one. And then I will be back. Oops, I didn't mark that right, because I want to make sure I go all the way down. So I actually need it to go to here. All right, and then the same width. Okay, so I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to mark it over here and cut that one out. All right, and then I'm going to come right back. Okay, so I've got those cut, and I haven't glued them down yet. I did go ahead and ink the edges, But what I want to do now is I'm going to bring this back in. We had used this piece over here for something earlier. So now we're going to cut these out. Or I am. I don't know what you're doing because I don't know what paper you're using. I am going to cut those out. I'm going to cut out both of them. And I'm just going to cut this one right now on camera. I could use my little paper trimmer over there, but my scissors were handy. And I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. And then that'll be it for today's video. I don't think, no, I didn't square the corners on these. All I did was kind of just clip the corner just a teeny tiny bit, just to sort of round it off. Just wanted the sharp corner gone, but that's my personal preference. Okay. And then I'm going to ink that. And then I'm also going to bring back in, oh, I can't talk. Bring back in my burlap. And I'm just going to cut that slightly bigger than my label. And I'll do this for the other label as well. Oops, I cut that a little bit big. All right, but you get the idea. I'll trim it up better off camera. And I need to kind of straighten it out a little bit. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I will take my little brads, my little small ones, and I'll find 4 that match. And I'm going to, before I punch the hole where I want it to go, I'm going to mark where I want it to go. And then I'll use my little small hole punch. I'll bring it back over here. And I'm going to punch the hole where I want it to go. Maybe turn my hole punch around so I can see, Dawn. Gee. Okay. Anyway, what I want to do is, I haven't glued this on yet for this reason. I'm figuring out where I want this to go. And what I would do is I would go ahead and punch all my holes in here and mark them all on here, or hold it on here. I could do that too. And then punch all my holes. And what I'm doing is I'm going to thread my brad through both of them. That's why I'm doing it this way. If you're not putting brads on or any of that, you don't have to worry about any of this. Hang on, give me just a minute. Let me mark this one. This one I can't see where it goes. Right about there, I think. One more hole. Okay, there we go. So before I would glue that down, I'd trim this the way I want. I'm going to ink the edges, trim it the way I want, and then put my brads through. And I would go ahead and glue this on here. I'm not just going to put brads on it and leave it loose. I'll glue it all into place, okay? It's just when you fold the brad out, what happens if you're not putting it behind bigger paper is your brad wants to peek out around the edges. And I'm trying to keep that from happening. So if I thread my brad, if I thread my darling brad, oh, Brad. I'm sorry, I'm weird. I've had way too much coffee today. Okay. And I'll glue it down. I'll also glue it down. But this way, if I thread my brads through all the way to the back, they're not going to peek out around the edges. And then after I've got all this inked and glued together and my brads put in it, okay, then I will glue the whole thing down in its place. Okay? All right. So that's what I'm going to finish up. I'll have that done before the next video. And then I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll have it all finished up in the very next video, part 6. Okay? All right. So that's it for today, guys. Happy crafting, and I will see you next time. Bye.